Okay, so we have, Winston has calmed himself down, so we've removed the leash. And I was talking earlier in the session asking if he nudges with his nose like that when he wants attention, which he does. Or he scratches at us or jumps up on us. So he's being very cute in telling us, all right, beg, that he wants a treat. The problem is if he nudges us and he tells us what to do and we do it, we're validating that you're in charge of us. And he's already confused about his role. So I consider petting a dog our way of paying the dog. So right now you're paying him for doing what he wants to do, which validates his whole argument that he is an authority figure. So what I would suggest you do, the next time he comes up and scratches at you or nudges you, give him a counter order. Ask him to sit or to lie down. Sitting and lying down are more subordinate body positions for a dog, so it's not as, if you notice when he's barking, he's going to be standing upright. He's usually not going to be sitting. So if we want him to get used to using those more passive body mechanics, number one, and the more we practice anything, the better at it we get. Sit. So if he nudges me, I tell him to sit. As soon as he sits, I'm going to pet him under his chin. Now, when a dog is proud about what it's done, this is the dog's head and this is the nose, and this is the tail. If they track up, that puts their butt down on the ground. So what I do is I hold my hand like this. As you can see, I have his full attention even though there's nothing in my hand. So I curl my fingers slightly and have it somewhat flat so that I can actually manipulate him. Now, if I'm going to use a treat, I put it about right there. So if I want him to sit, sit. As soon as he sits down, I let him have it. Now, if he starts doing the begging thing, which I don't know if you taught him or somebody else did, but he knows how to beg. So I would assign it a command word and then just practice just doing that separately, but also practice doing the sit separately. So if you go like this to get him to sit and he begs, the way to say no is by bending your elbow back. That's your way of saying that's not what I wanted. And then as soon as he sits, then I lower it and let him lick it off my hand while he's still in a sitting position. Now I also like to reach my fingertips underneath and scratch under the nose, because when a dog is proud about what it's done, his nose is parallel to the ground or tilted up. You might have seen him once in a while with a toy walking around with his nose in the air, feels really good about himself. I want him to feel really good about himself doing the things that we want him to do, like sitting and lying down. So what you're going to do is give him a counter order every time he demands attention, and then as soon as he sits, we reach under, sit, and pet him and give him the treat. Now the treat should touch his tongue at the same time he hears the word sit, and then immediately following that, like a half a second later, you're already tickling underneath. After a while, what's going to happen is he's going to start sitting in front of you and looking up at you saying, look, I'm sitting. And when he does that, you want to make sure that we acknowledge that by reaching over and petting him at least a good portion of the time. Otherwise, he's going to go back to the old way of doing it. Now, petting with a purpose, if you can get in a habit of doing this, you can have a whole conversation with him while you're on the phone with somebody else or entertaining your house and have two conversations going simultaneously where they're both equally effective. Now, this is going to take you a little bit of time to get in a habit of not doing, because he's going to come over, you're just going to reach over and just start petting him without thinking about it. So when you remember, go, oh, sit. So even though he just took a half step forward and a half step back, he still had to achieve the sitting position before we give him attention. And the more you do that, the more that we introduce the concept. If you want something with human, you have to earn it on the human's terms. That puts you in the authority position and him in the follower position. Once he identifies as a follower, then he's going to be less reactive and he's going to listen to you when you correct him or reprimand him, as well as sit, as well as when you reward him. Now, let's say that he comes and sits down on his own. You didn't ask him to. Like I said, we're going to start petting him for that. Now, the other thing we can do is I asked if he knew how to lay down, and he said not really. What you can do is when he comes over and lays down at your feet, as soon as he lays down, reach over within 3 seconds and start petting him and say the command word. Now, I don't like to use just down because some people say lie down, some people say lay down. We also say down when we want the dog to get off of things. Dogs have an actual, we'll worry about that in a sec. He's on the couch now.
Yeah.
Dogs have, I'm losing my train of thought.
With lie down rather than just down.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I like to, dogs are the only animals that can read a human facial expression. So if you're smiling, he knows he made you happy. Mm-hmm. So my dog's command to lay down is crash. I say crash and they flop down on the ground. Just like you did, most people will smile when that happens because dogs can read the human facial expression. My dogs feel so good about this. Look, I made people happy. I pleased people. If a dog loves you, trusts you, and respects you, the number one priority is how to make you happy. So that's a great way of doing it. Now he's chewing on blanket on the couch, so I disagreed with the hiss, and we're going to go through that off camera. But the timing of your correction has to be within 3 seconds. So again, you want to refrain from petting him. You want to try to stop petting him under any circumstance unless he does something. Now, if he's already sitting in front of you, he's been sitting there for a couple minutes, ask him to come an inch away and sit and lay down there, then pet him for doing that. Petting with a purpose is the easiest thing that you will do that will have the biggest impact on the dog, and once you get in a habit of doing it, you'll do it without even thinking about it. And as I mentioned in the other room, every time you do it, that's a mini training session that you engage in without putting any effort towards it or even intending to do so, but it helps him build up more respect for you as an authority figure. So that's a quick little summary of petting with a purpose.